Hey guys, TommyBryson here. So what are 3 things you should be working on right now for 2021 to make sure you become more successful as far as money actually goes? And one thing I noticed is basically money and life are kind of like the exact same thing. If you become, for example, a more positive person, you start thinking different, start approaching life differently, eventually life will adjust to you and eventually more positive things will happen to you. The law of attraction. I'm not a big fan, but it does make sense and it also does work. On top of that, also with money, right? If you change your money habits, you look at money differently, you start saving money, keeping track of money, eventually your life will adjust around that and eventually you'll have more money also. You ever notice that basically people that are good with money get more money and people that are bad with money, no matter how much money they get, usually they lose it all. I had a friend, he got $45,000 from a lawsuit. 2 years later, he had no money left over. I've had people in my family that win the lottery, get inheritance, and before you know it, they also don't have any money. But the person that builds it up slowly, steadily, changes the way they think, understands money, before you know it, they have more money, it piles up, and before you know it, they're wealthy. Because once you understand it, more money becomes attracted to you. And the goal of this video is not to complicate anything, okay? In this video, I'll give you just 3 things you can do today, starting today, right now, to change the way you see money and to change your habits. That way, you can actually allow money to actually grow for you and actually work for you and actually build you passive income. That's the goal. And don't think I started this when I had money. No, I started this entire system when I was broke in college, making $60 per week, having a bunch of debt, student loan debt here, and potentially I was about to get also into even more debt. That's when my life changed. When I was at rock bottom, that's when things changed for me, okay? If you can't handle a small amount of money, you can't handle a large amount of money, okay? Stay with me with that. Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. It helps out with the algorithm on YouTube. You guys know the YouTube gods. So make sure you actually like this video and smash the like button because it helps a lot. So thank you guys so much. Now, the very first thing, guys, you gotta start by understanding and tracking your income and also your expenses. One thing I remember was basically, if I have a bucket, and I'm trying to fill this bucket with water, okay? And every time I come back, the bucket is empty. What does that mean? It's not evaporation, right? It's basically there must be a hole in this bucket, right? So no matter how much water, if I fill it up to the top or halfway, no matter what, it's going to leak and all the water is going to be gone. The same thing happens with money. The bucket is your bank account. And no matter how much money you put inside there, if you have X amount of bills, and all the bills get charged to you, you buy this with your credit card and your debit card, all this stuff, guess what? Eventually, by the end of the week, you have no money. And we call that paycheck to paycheck. So you got a problem when you get paid on Friday and by Wednesday, you're like, yo, where's all my money? Where did my money go? That's called not keeping track of your expenses and also your income. So how do you fix this? Well, the answer is you gotta get a triple B budget, okay? And by the way, that's not anything weird. It's just triple B, stands for a bare bone budget. What does this mean, okay? It means a budget where you take care of only the necessities. Now, before you say, Tommy, I hate budgets, I can't stand them, I make money, I wanna enjoy it. The answer is, well, remember, okay? You're building your own budget. Personal finance is personal. Meaning, for example, if you wanna put fun in your budget, go ahead and do it, okay? If you want to put going out once a week, go ahead and do it. Put it in your budget. Your budget is personal, but don't make the excuse to say, hey, Tommy, I can handle my business or my life without a budget. Because usually, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there. And a budget is going to guide you there. And a budget is personal, so you get to build it. But a triple B budget, bare bones budget, is all about the 4 fundamentals. You have shelter. Very important, obviously. No shelter means you live in a box like Squidward. Then you have also utilities. You have gas, internet, and light bill. That's about it. Not Netflix, not Spotify, not iTunes. Forget about that. Then you have groceries. I know you like organic food, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, but those places are very expensive. Consider shopping things, basically, buy it in lump sums, okay? So I shop at Costco. With $200, I go to Costco, I buy a bunch of rice, chicken breasts, vegetables, fruits, and everything I need basically. And that can last me up to a month to a month and a half, okay? That way I save a lot of money. But if you spend $300 to $400 on food, and then I gotta go out with Brenda and Steve and her father is Glenford or whatever it is. The answer is you got a problem, okay? You got a problem. You want to lower it to at least $200 per person and buy things in bulk. BJ's, Sam's Club, or for example Costco is gonna save you a lot of money. Get in the habit of seeing food as fuel, like bodybuilders, okay? Food is fuel. So initially, buy things you need. You know how Dave Ramsey says, for example, Dave Ramsey says, you're gonna eat beans and rice and then rice and beans on Tuesdays. The answer is it's kind of like that, but if you go to Costco, you can buy the meats and everything you actually need also, okay? But you need a bare bone budget. And lastly, is going to be transportation. If you have a lease, Mercedes, Lexus, BMW, all those fancy cars that you can't afford and you're having a problem with it, the answer is, well, you got to stop that, okay? Usually, you want to buy a used car, you want to pay cash for it. That might mean, for example, $1,000, $2,000 for a car for cash initially, and you get rid of the lease or the payments, you sell it, you cut it off, and that's about it. And by the way, for everyone that says, Tommy, I can't sell a car with a payment on it, the answer is, well, how can you sell a house with a mortgage on it, right? You can sell a car with a payment on it. Just talk to the borrower that has the title of the car and say, hey, I want to sell this car. What's the process like? And they'll help you. That's the point. Right now, for the first time in history, you're able to sell those things for a profit right now currently because we have very low supply and a lot of demand. So overall, make a budget with those 4 fundamentals: shelter, utilities, groceries, transportation. Everything else, cut it out because basically it is a want. Now, number 2, once you have that budget, that's the first step, guys, okay? Also, you're going to need to cut out the things that you basically don't need. And by the way, this hurts, okay? Because let me tell you something, guys. I like eating out. I like fancy things as much as the next guy. But the answer is, if it's hurting me financially, do I need it? The answer is no. I hear this all the time. Tommy, I don't want to follow this plan because I want to go on vacation because I deserve it, right? The answer is you deserve it when you're able to afford it. That's the whole point. You got to have priorities in life, okay? So what do you cut out? Well, you cut out everything that's not a part of the triple B budget, right? All those 4 fundamentals. If it's not in shelter, utilities, grocery, transportation, you got to cut it out. All the things that hurt you financially, for example, a car loan, or the furniture you bought from a mattress firm that's actually super expensive, or whatever it is, wherever you bought from, Bob's Furniture, I don't care. But if you have any, if you owe these people any money, the idea is consider selling the furniture, consider selling the car, consider returning the lease, consider all these things. That way you wipe them out and you just don't need them. You know, one thing I remember is I was gonna buy a computer. The computer costs around $13,000, okay? And by the way, I know it sounds crazy, okay? It is crazy, but I was gonna get a little like a loan for it. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna buy this. It's just like $200 a month. It's gonna be awesome for 5 years. And I was like, am I stupid? In 5 years from now, this computer is gonna be worth less, okay? Because technology moves that fast. The answer is, whenever you want something, whether it's a computer or a car, save up for it, slowly but surely. I just bought my first car. I bought it for cash, and guess how I did it? I saved up slowly for it. For you, it might be $1,000 car, $2,000 car, and that's just fine. I did not buy a new car, okay? I do not have a car loan on it, and it did not cost more than even $10,000. So picture that, okay? You don't need those fancy things. So you got to cut out everything. Some tips are, for example, your phone bill should not cost more than $10 to $20. How? You have Mint Mobile, you have TIN, and you also have a lot of other services online that offer prepaid services. That way you can save a ton of money. Most of you out there use Wi-Fi either at work or, for example, at home. So you don't need unlimited services all the time. It's like having a buffet, right? Like it's called a buffet. It's called buffet, like when you get like unlimited food, but you never really eat all the food. Having unlimited data, but you never really call people unlimitedly, or you never really use the internet unlimitedly. Because why? Because you have Wi-Fi at home and you have Wi-Fi at work or at Starbucks. So you don't really need unlimited data all the time, okay? So consider that. Get a prepaid plan. Internet service and anything else, for example, call the company and negotiate it. So if you have internet, call them and be like, hey, this company right here is offering me X. I want to lower my bill. If you can't do it, I'm going to move. Consider also everything that does not fit in your 4 fundamentals, either negotiate it or cancel out if you just don't need it. Again, this is going to be for a short time, not forever. Now, the third thing is, once you have a budget, Once you cut the things you don't need, and by the way, before I go to the third thing, I do want to say one thing, guys, okay? It is hard to cut things out. You can become very frugal, but it goes down to a level where you just can't cut anymore until you start bleeding. Because cutting all your costs, eventually you just can't cut costs anymore. However, when it comes to earning income, you can earn income. There's no cap on that. You can earn exponential amounts of income. And by the way, I know people that are very frugal. So frugal to the point where they don't use toilet paper, they use newspapers. So frugal to the point where when they leave their house, they turn off all the breakers. So frugal where they recycle food and then eat it at home. So frugal where they buy expired food and then eat it at home also. That is not what I want for you, okay? I want you to increase your income. I want you to keep the necessities, but I don't want you to be in New York or California or this area where you're paying $2,000 for a one bedroom and you're justifying it, okay? That's not what I want for you. If you can't afford where you live, consider renting a room or consider taking the harsh penalty of moving back in with your parents until you get things back figured out, okay? I never liked the idea of trying to impress people that I don't really care about, okay? Honestly, like you try to impress people with like a car or an apartment or furniture, but you don't really care about them. So what's the point of doing all those things? Or like a fancy purse or a fancy wallet or all those things or sneakers, it just doesn't matter, okay? Now, the third thing, guys, is going to be you gotta save money and you gotta invest money wisely. How do you do that? Well, the first thing is that saving money is amazing, but saving money does not make you rich. So the first step is you gotta understand that there are only two things in life you need to save money for. And those two things are basically the knowns and also the unknowns. What do you call these two things? You have the unknowns are going to be emergencies. That's where you hear about emergency fund. So all you need in that account is around 3 to 6 months of emergencies, okay? So if you have, for example, $2,000 in expenses every single month, multiply by 6, that's 12,000. You put that money aside for 6 months worth of unknown emergencies, meaning you lost your job, you broke your leg, your mom passed away. Like crazy things happen, okay? The unknowns in life. But then the knowns, like I have a house, my roof started leaking. I have a car, it broke down. Guess what? That's not really that unknown because cars break down and roofs also leak, okay? So that's not really that unknown. So when it comes to having a property, set aside between 2 to 5% of the property value for maintenance. Have the money there. It's called a sinking fund. And if you have a car, set aside, for example, some money for maintenance every 5,000 miles. And like, for example, every 3 to 6 months, check it out. Make sure the oil is fine, tire pressure is fine, everything's fine, brakes are fine. And basically the, what's it called? This other thing also, the transmission is fine. Because when things break down, it costs a lot of money. But if you take care of it, it won't cost you that much money. I had a person, okay, a friend, he called me, said, Tommy, my car broke down. It's gonna cost me $3,000 to fix this transmission. And I don't know what happened to it. I'm like, did you ever check it out? He's like, no, I've never in my entire life had my car even have an oil change. The answer is, that's a problem, right? You need to make sure the car is running correctly, all right? It's like you. If you don't run on good food and all these things, you're gonna feel sloppy, not gonna have energy, but a car is just gonna break down and cost you a bunch of money. So set aside money in a sinking fund. Now, that's just a saving. Emergencies, sinking fund. That is it. But when it comes to investing, you should be investing almost 100% of all your money, for example, into retirement accounts. That means, for example, 401k with your company or Roth 401k with your company. And that usually gives you free money because they give you like a match. You know about the match. And on top of that, also, you have your Roth IRA, the individual retirement accounts, or a traditional IRA. But the core idea is if I had a normal job, I would get the match in my company, the max match, and then the rest of the money, I would put it, for example, into my Roth IRA and max it out. If I have extra money, I max out my 401k. If I have even more money, by the way, 401k max out is around $19,500. Plus the Roth IRA is $6,000. That's around $25,500. That's a lot of money to max out. If you have more money, it means you make a lot of money. Great, congratulations. But the rest of the money, you can go ahead and basically invest it, for example, into a taxable account. Only then, once you max out all those things, okay? That's the core idea. That's the main focus for 2021 if you want to be more successful when it comes down to money. A budget helps you track it, cut things you don't need so you don't have a bucket with a hole under it. And lastly, save, yes, but then invest the rest. And when it comes to buying a house, well, I have a full video on that. Look it up on YouTube. It's called the 33% rule. on Buying a House by Tommy Bryson. The core idea is when you buy a home, you got to make sure you don't spend that much money on it. On top of that, you get it on a 15-year mortgage where basically the payments, including the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, the HOA fee, everything included is not going to exceed 33% of your monthly expenses. Your income is not going to exceed 33% of your monthly income on a 15-year mortgage, okay? That's the core idea. If you buy a house that way, you'll have even extra income to then go ahead and put it towards the mortgage and finish even earlier. Because by the way, my math is basically, I only invest 10 to 20%. The rest of the money, I would put it towards my mortgage to finish even faster. But that way, you build equity in your property faster. You also build a solid nest egg in your investments. But it's not about, hey, I have a lot of investments, but I still own this house, I have an investment, but I have an emergency account. The answer is you got to do things step by step. Emergencies, then you start investing 10, 20%. You buy your house, put down a good down payment on it, 10, 20%. And then you follow the rule of 33% rule. And then you pay it off as fast as possible in 8 to 10 years. And then before you know it, you're financially free. But that's another video for another day. And if you want to talk to me guys one-on-one and talk to me on my channel for 30 minutes on the phone, the answer is I have a third channel where I take calls, Q&A every single day. It's called Ask Tommy Bryson. It's on YouTube. Look me up, subscribe over there, and I'll answer your calls directly. And hopefully, guys, this video helped you out some way, somehow. That's my goal. Any questions, comment down below. I'll try my best to answer all the comments and actually help you out, guys, with everything. I can't get my words together today, okay? Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, here's my Instagram right here at TommyBryson. Follow me on Patreon, link down below. Subscribe over there also. On top of it, before I go, if you want more content, here's a video right here. Click my face right here. And as always, peace.